I'm Derek Herlihy from Far Creation, and I'm just going to talk to you today about using technology and considering technology as part of your learning plan, your learning strategy, and how it can benefit your business, and especially in the food and drinks industry. So in this business, there's certainly a lot of training is required, from food safety policies, the different levels in the food safety policy, whether it's manufacturing, whether it's microbiology, testing, HACCP, for example, even manual handling or fire safety. All those things are compliance, or you just need to do them as part of your induction for employees. Traditionally though, these are done in a classroom. And in a classroom session, it takes time, obviously. People usually have to travel to attend the classroom session. And when they do that, obviously they're away from the job, so you have less productivity. You may have to get other people in to backfill those while they're away. And therefore there's certainly an impact on time, cost, budget, and productivity. In addition to that, what we know is that productivity, like I said, is impacted, but for classroom training, it's been a kind of well-known fact that retention rates are quite low. So you attend the training, you remember maybe 5 to 10% of that after you go away. But the issue is maybe 3 or 6 months down the line, can you remember what you did 3 or 6 months ago? And how do you therefore try and improve that? So like I said, the retention rates are low, and post-training follow-up is minimal, usually with this type of training. So normally in a classroom session, it's done and that's it. And it's over, people leave, and there's no more about it after that. So we want to change that and see how we can improve upon that. So how can we improve the situation and make learning more engaging, and of course impact the bottom line, which is what we want to be able to do. So what we're suggesting, and we know that this works, is to develop a learning and development strategy that also includes a focus on using technology to transfer knowledge. And we're not saying that this is the entire solution, because some people hate using technology. Also, it may not be appropriate for everything that you want to do. However, used as a complement to what you're doing in the classroom, or for pre-training, post-training, refresher training, it's an ideal solution. So it's to try and think about what can we utilize to improve retention rates, to improve take-up rates, to make sure that this training lasts, and that if we need to go back to it, then we just go back to the system. It's there all the time, 24/7, 365. And that is actually one of the huge benefits of having e-learning and a learning management system. So what are the types of training that we can utilize, or what types of solutions are there? How do we do this? So basically what I'm just going to show today is just a sample set of solutions that can be thought about when developing a learning strategy using technology. So what kind of things can you utilize? Well, first of all, simple things like webinar. Just have somebody here and cast it around the world, and that way, for people who can't travel, for people who are not allowed to travel, this is a way of getting your message across in real time also. Simple thing like videos. So taking some video work of key components of a process, key tests, key principles, having somebody talk about it and putting it on maybe a company server or something like that, or on our server, and off you go. So these are very simple solutions. The next phase really is e-learning and learning management. So we're now taking it a step further, where we're taking our content, we're taking the classroom, and we're converting it into something else. We're converting it into e-learning and then putting it somewhere such that it can be tracked, it can be monitored. So we can see, not that we want to do a big brother on it, but we still need to know who has done what. We need to know when they've done it and if they've completed it on time. In addition to that, if there are any quizzes associated with it, or anything where they need to demonstrate capability, then of course we can see those scores too. And we can utilize it to see if there's a deficiency somewhere. So for example, if everybody is getting the same question wrong, did we write it poorly? Is it a bad question? Or do people not understand the concept? And that allows you then to focus on things that may need improvement, some of the challenges, and say, right, this area is a problem for us. Let's spend some time at this. and let's go on again. So it allows you to get some real-time information, and it allows you to address issues that may arise that you may not otherwise know about. Because in a classroom, people may not speak up. They may feel uncomfortable saying, I have a problem with this. Most people wouldn't do that, you know. So we have e-learning and we have learning management, and I'll talk a little bit about learning management shortly. So the next one then is virtual classrooms. So a bit like the webinar situation, but here you may have more people, you have a specific topic, you have a person based somewhere, and you may have a classroom either here and abroad looking at, listening to you doing whatever the topic may be. So it's just kind of extending on the webinar idea. And then we're going to really go to the limit at the moment, which is virtual reality. So basically taking what you need to do and putting on the goggles and being immersed in the experience. Learning how to lift the box, learning how to pour the cup of coffee, learning how to do microbiology test, learning how to use a fire extinguisher, but you're in it and you're performing tasks, and you still link that to your learning management system. So this is kind of really leading edge stuff at the moment, but it is a very powerful way and a powerful medium, because the retention rates for this, so as we go from classroom to e-learning to virtual reality, we're seeing the retention rates much, much higher. So while it's much more expensive, it can be much shorter. So sharp shots of information, 5 minutes each, maybe rather than 20 minutes, rather than a 4-hour class, for example. But it allows you to really experience it. And because you've experienced it, you remember it better. It stays with you for longer. But also the thing about this, you can go back again and do it again. So if there's something, I can't quite remember what that was about, a specific thing, just go back in and do it again. You don't have to call anybody. You don't need to go to another classroom session. It's all here. So they're just some examples. So when you take your traditional classroom and basically you convert it, what we do is we convert traditional training to make it more engaging and to make it more interactive. And the idea is it allows interactivity, it allows scenarios, it allows branching. So, for example, if somebody answers a question and they get it right, then they go off in one direction. If they get it wrong, then they can go back around, either learn again or do something else. So you can create these scenarios where they're real-time or real-life scenarios, and based on the answers, can direct them in a particular direction after that. Another thing it provides is consistency across the organization. So one of the key issues with classroom training is that if I do it, if somebody else does it, or somebody else does it, we have different styles and we have different ways of teaching people, and it may not come across the way you want it to be. However, with something like this, and like I said, it's complementary, at least the message is the same across for everybody. They all get the same message. Whether it be right or wrong, they get the same message, but it's consistent. But in addition to that, one of the services that we also provide is localization or translation. So taking the content and turning it into Latin American Spanish, Brazilian Portuguese, French, Chinese, Russian, whatever is required, then you can create your branch at the beginning and say, okay, what language do I need? Select that, and off you go. And that's becoming a bigger thing now, because there are certain countries that are saying you have to have it in our language as well as in English. So it's becoming a requirement for people. Of course, with e-learning and being on a system, it's available all day, every day. And it can be used as pre-work to classroom or refresher following classroom. The thing about what we create right now is that it's very flexible, it's very mobile. A lot of e-learning previously is that you sit in a classroom still in front of a computer and you just click your way through it. Company has sent me a code of conduct policy, I just click, next, click, next, click. It needs to be more than that. So it needs to be engaging, it needs to be interactive, and therefore you need to have subject matter experts there to help you actually create some of this learning as well. So by involving subject matter experts, and if you have internal subject matter experts, then this really gets more drive behind this learning approach. Because for this learning approach, it's a change of mindset for people. They're used to going to a classroom and sitting back, have a snooze every so often or whatever. But this way, it's it's very much user-centric. So they decide when they want to take it. They may have a time limit. You need to do this by 3 months' time or whatever, and your certificate lasts for a year. The system will tell you when it's almost up. But you decide. So if you're tired, don't do it. If you're not, if you feel up to it in the morning before your breakfast, you can do it. But the beauty about the system is that it's completely flexible, it's completely mobile. So you can do it on your phone, you can do it on your tablet, you can do it on your computer, and you can do it any time when you want to do it, and any browser as well. So we make sure that all the key browsers are compliant, or modules are compliant with all the key browsers, and so is the learning management system itself. So really getting people involved from across the team really helps to reinforce this training and to begin the process of transitioning from classroom to e-learning, or having the combination of both at least. So obviously to facilitate that, we need a way of doing that. Now you can create e-learning and have them as standalone modules, that's no problem at all. But we want to be able to see who has done what and when. So it allows us to get our metrics. It allows us to see, okay, we have 1,000 people need to do it, 900 have done it, we need the other 100 done in the next few months. Of these 900 who have done it, what were their scores, what were their completion rates, which questions worked well, etc., just like I mentioned before. So like I mentioned, the benefits of this system is that it's available all day, every day, but across the world. So no matter where you are, it's available to you. If you're traveling, if you're busy, you'd say, all right, I have a few minutes. We always now have a couple of hours at an airport rather than 30 minutes. You know? So you have plenty of time to be able to get onto something and do what you need to do. Sometimes it's just compliance stuff, or it might be a new product that's been launched, and it may not necessarily be something that's hugely important, but you still need to know. So this is just a screenshot of our learning management system, and what we've done is we've created one which is much more, shall we say, scaled back, but has all the options available. So if you need to turn things on, then we just turn them on. They're all in the background, and they're just switches. But for most people, for a learning management system, they log in, and all they want to see is, what are my courses, what have I done, what's left to do, etc. So what we have here, just to show you, you got this? So these are the courses here. Buttons to start, course catalogue, progress. We can turn all these off. However, they're available if you need them. So if there's a group of people, a cohort in quality, for example, or in micro or sales, for example, then you can create your own little group and say, I'm struggling with this topic. And between you can sort it out, okay? You can create a discussion forum just between your groups as well. And then there's a calendar of events, you know. But for most people, what they want to see is, what am I supposed to do? And how far have I gone through these? So my progress. They're all up here as well, but these are buttons that if they're on your tablet, you just touch it and it opens up. So we've made them such that all of these, they're all touch screen and they're all reactive. So what we provide and what we can do, and it depends on the module, of course, but for each of these, you can see there's a completed status and there's a certificate, but it's all here on the home page. So if you're saying, where is my certificate? You click on this and it just downloads automatically as a PDF. There's no looking for it or searching for it or anything like that. It's just there. And it makes it easy to see. We're adding a feature later on in the year where if this certificate is due within 3 months, it'll have a date here and a red flag alongside to say your certificate is due in 3 months' time. So just a little feature for the learner to be able to determine, right, this is coming up now, I need to do something about it, okay? In addition to that, so we have a certificate after the training, but just in case you need one, we can put a non-disclosure agreement or a confidentiality agreement before the training. So if somebody's coming onto your site and you're still going to teach them, but they're a contractor and they may leave afterwards, you can have an agreement in place, they go through it, and by completing that, only then does it allow the module to become available. So you can create these steps, and only unless the previous step is completed does the next step become open. Okay, and that's pretty useful for one of the trainings we provide, which is contractor induction, people coming on site. Now normally at the moment that is classroom training, so people are coming in to do a project, there's a new building being built, and they have to come in and sit down for an hour, go through health and safety, go through the fire evacuation procedure, all of these things. And you paid for all of these things already in the project, and now they're sitting for an hour. Well, this is online, available, but you don't want them walking off with anything. So you put in this NDA in advance, they do that, and then the module becomes available. They complete the module, the certificate becomes available. The certificate, because it's PDF, can then be uploaded to their own learning management system or other system that they may be part of, such as contractor management, so that the people employing them can see, yes, they've done their induction training for us, they have all their insurances in place, they have their training done, and you can see that on that system. So they're just some screenshots of our existing LMS. But like I said, in the background, we have a lot of switches that can turn this off, this off, this off, turn on reports so you can see the reports. And the report is also a one-click download. So you just hit the button and you see everybody who has done the particular module. There's no software required, it's just an Excel report. And then just to kind of highlight that, people want to see, well, who has done what? You can see in the system it's just learner 1, various course, learner 2, an aggregate, and if there were quizzes, you can see the scores that go along with that also. So how does this benefit my business? Okay, we're going to spend money to put this thing in place. We're going to spend money in getting the modules created if they're not already done so. So I need to see a return on my investment, and how does it work? Well, basically what we do know, and particularly for compliance modules, food safety policy, HACCP, microbiology, those kind of things, e-learning courses can save you up to a minimum of 50% classroom time, and in some cases it can be 70-75%, depending on the content. But we do know that you can do this, do the pre-work as e-learning, and then come in and just do the practical, and it'll save half the time. It allows courses, the e-learning courses allow learners to learn in-house, at home. And what I would suggest is that if you are putting something into your organization, that you create a station or a kiosk. Tablets nowadays are so much cheaper than what computers were 5 years ago. So you can just put one there, give people the time to do it, because remember now it's not 4 hours anymore, it's 20 minutes or half an hour. So give people the time to do it, and that way you get the buy-in to get it done, but you also get your compliance at the same time. But because of the nature of how it's created, it's completely flexible, completely mobile. And of course, because of that, it allows you to train more people for less cost. So we know that by having 50% less classroom time, then of course the travel and expenditure is down by 50% also. The time and productivity that they're out of the office is also now improved. So we have various metrics that we can share and utilize to allow you to create your return on investment and show how this will actually benefit your business. So just one slide on us. We've been building e-learning, mobile learning and 3D courses for food, beverage and pharma industry since 2010, with learning and development strategy experience since 1999. So we've been involved in this business for many years. And because we've done a lot of classroom training, this has allowed us to think, or needed us to think, how can we do things in a different way, such that people who can't come, who can't travel, but still need the training, how can we get that done? We have our own LMS providing expertise from making to hosting of modules. So it means that when we make them, they just go on our system and they work. There's nothing special required by anybody else. However, if you have your own learning management system, then you can utilize that too. We can make modules that will work on your own. And finally, we're now into creating gamification or experiential learning, taking scenarios where you need to be involved, and then bringing that and expanding that to virtual reality modules, sticking the headset on, lifting the box, driving the fork truck, etc., and figuring out what you would do in different situations, but in a safe environment. Okay? That's it. Any questions?